Hey guys, this week on Brendan Tries, something that is still very apparent in the world right now is to be safe, be able to go out and enjoy ourselves, but have the proper covering. Face masks are so crucial right now, and the good news is you can make one at home if you've got a few things. And I'm going to try that today. Today on Brendan tries to make a face mask. When it comes to making your own mask, there's some things you need. And you know what? You might have it around the house. You need a pen, a pair of fabric scissors. Those are very important. You need the fabric itself. You can choose something crazy or something just pretty basic. You need pins. You need an elastic or some kind of ribbon for the ties for your ears. And you need a big size bowl. You have those, you're pretty much ready. All right, now that you have all the stuff you need to make a face mask, we start things off by taking your fabric and putting it on a board like this. So it doesn't move around, it stays nice and safe like that, but you want it as a single sheet. You put it on the boards, take your bowl, you take your pen, and you draw a circle. Now, this is a bowl for someone with a ginormous head like myself. But if you want something for a normal sized head or for a child, you would just go down in inches. Not too many. This is about 11 inches. A more normal person's head is about 10 inches and a child would be about 9. So you can make changes in that regard that way. But you get an outline, you put your bowl away, you get the scissors, and you're going to cut it out. Now that you've got your fabric, you're going to bring it over to your ironing board. It can be a big normal one, it can be a small one, but you are going to then iron it, fold it in half, iron it again, fold it in a quarter, and then we'll go from there. Like I said, you get your ironing board, you get your iron, make sure it's nice and hot. Don't start and then it's not actually plugged in or anything like that, but you're just going to go along the lines of your circle. That's done. Put your ironing board up, just be careful, and you're going to put it in half. Now you can just leave it like that. I've heard from somebody who's very well educated in the world of sewing to actually flip it over and make sure that you actually get the crease properly. And then you go over it again, and then you are going to, after you got it in half, you're going to do it into a quarter, and once again, you are going to go over it again. Being able to do this at home is much easier than, you're not sure who's making the face masks and all that sort of stuff. You can do it yourself. You know it's well done. You know where you got it from. And you know what? You know the quality that is taken into making these. Welcome back to the table. Now that you have everything steamed and everything like that, you've got your quarter. You take the scissors and you are actually going to cut along the seam. And if you are not very used to cutting sharp things, just go along the seam, take your time with it. You don't need to rush, it's gonna get done. And what you're gonna want is 4 pieces, and then you just need to get the middle piece like that, and you're gonna cut along there as well. So you have 4 separate pieces. If you're wondering why I decided to iron before all this, it actually helps the process because it makes it so you have a nice line down the middle. It makes it so you can see where you're going. The scissors are not just guessing, and neither are you. Now that you have your 4 separate pieces, you get to do the fun part of pinning them so you are ready to take them over to the sewing machine. So what you want is your knife sides of the mask to be on top of each other, just like so. And you are going to take your pins. You're going to take this and you're going to pin 5/8 of an inch so that when you're doing the sewing, you are just sewing the seam for this. So take your pins, don't stab yourself, it might happen. But now you've got it ready to pin, you go to the sewing machine. So, guess what? I messed up. You might mess up as well. Seam ripper, very important. Or skizzers, one of the two. But you just want to go along the seam itself and get it out. Because we're going to go again. Because you know what? At first you don't succeed. Try again. Ow. Now that you've gotten through your time at the sewing machine, you are going to trim up the seam, because you're actually going to flip this out and it's going to be the mask. You don't want a bunch of extra in your face. So you don't go all along the seam there. You just give yourself a little bit extra space, and then we get to press it. The reason why there's two of these is one is actually the mask and the other one is the inset. All right, you're back at the ironing table. You've got your piece of fabric. What you want to do is put it right side out, and you need to find the seam, because you need to press the seam, because it is the most important thing when it comes to anything. The seam needs to be nice and flat. Makes the world of difference. You've got your seam, you've got it down like that. You take the ironing board, you take your iron, and you go along the seam to make sure it is nice and flat. And what's going to happen is you're going to take one of these and put it inside the other, and then you are going to stitch it together, and then you have your mask. You've got your two pieces, they are pressed. What you're going to do is put one inside the other, but you want to have the good sides facing each other. You're going to make sure that it is nice and lined up. So once you have that, you are going to pin two sides together. But there is one spot that is going to have a little opening, and that is going to allow you to flip it right side out, and then you will be good to get the final touches. Once you've done sewing these together, you want to clean up the seam area. So just give yourself a little bit of space, but you're going to cut a line. You're going to leave this area right here because you need that when you are pulling through the fabric. Just to clean it up a little bit. Once again, it's going to be what's in your face, so you don't want to have a mouthful of fabric. That's not fun for anybody. Now that you have it all trimmed up, you are going to have that hole right there. You're going to push your fabric through it so it is right side out, and then you are going to go back over to the ironing board to do the important things of pressing the seams. Back at the ironing board, you once again have to press the seams to make sure it is all sealed properly. It's so very important. So make sure you go through, and it's on every single end there. You're saying it's starting to look like a mask. We're getting there. Not there just yet, but we're getting there. Now that you have your seams pressed, you're going to go back to the sewing machine and sew everything up so everything holds the way it should. You might be saying, that's not going to fit you. That's all right. If it doesn't work for you, there are other people in your lives that would like a mask right now. So if it doesn't fit your big head like mine, you can give it to someone with a much normal sized head. All right, so we're getting near the end of this now. We've got ourselves a mask, but we need to get something to hold it onto your face because you can't just do this the whole time. So you get yourself a little bit of a fold in the corners. I've already got this set up here on this side. You pin it right there, because what you're going to want to do is be able to fit these elastics. These are 12 inches cut, so it fits around the ear. The good news is you can actually tie it off, but start with a bigger one because then you can make alterations by knotting it and doing things like that. If it's too small, you're gonna have to start all over again, and you've seen this, it's kind of a nightmare. So let's continue on, shall we? You got yourself set up for the pins. You are making a very, very, very tiny little stitch to hold it in place. you've got your ear straps left. So like we said, 12-inch elastics. You might want to make this really easy. You take yourself with a pin, you poke that through your elastic, and then you use that to guide through to the other end. Very simple, very easy. And then it depends on the person's ear size and how tight you want to make it, but then you knot it and you've got yourself a mask. So now that your mask is done and you realize it's not going to fit you because you've got a massive head, like so, you can make sure you give it to someone special. For example, Aunt Odd, a very special happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
So we're going to see if this fits you because that seems to fit a normal sized head. But the good news is you can change the adjustments so it fits a lot better for your aunts or whoever you are giving it to, and you make sure that they're safe and sound when they're going out. Give it a try.
Brendan Seeley is not a licensed professional. Use his advice carefully and cautiously at your own risk.
I've learned a lot from you,
Well, thank you.
honestly.
I appreciate
Yes.
that.